Okay, this is our video demonstration of the MBraun MB200B custom glove box. It's 2 glove ports. And this had a spin coater in here, and it's been removed. Here's our anti-chamber. Comes with a vacuum pump. And here's our dry train. You can see the anti-chamber has been blanked off at this port. Here. It was connected to another glove box at one time. I'll demonstrate this operation a little later on. This is the door to enter in. It does have a manual gauge on it, but it can be controlled automatically too. And it has a vacuum sensor, atmosphere sensor, refill valve, and evacuation valve. There's a line here that leads to the glove box, the stainless steel line. So as you refill the anti-chamber, you'll be using the gas from inside the glove box. I have the covers off, just so I can show you the drivetrain here. I got the top cover and the back cover is removed right now. And I'll go on the side. Point out real quick, you do have your valve manifold here, the control valve. Down in here is your purifier. These two valves here will isolate it when closed. The media has been replaced and regenerated. There is a solvent trap here. These two valves here are open to allow the flow of gas through the carbon media. That has been replaced too. So it'll come in here and then out here. If you decide you don't need it or you need to replace it, you can close these two ball valves and open the bypass valve, which is right here. As you can see, there's an oxygen sensor here. That is placed after the solvent trap. Okay. Then on the return of the gas, it'll go through the coming out the box underneath here, attached here, through this stainless steel line here. There's an oxygen sensor placed right here. Excuse me, that's the moisture sensor. Through this line here, through the solvent trap, past the O2 sensor, and then it leads into the purifier. Once it comes out of the purifier, it'll go through the recirculator, which is down here, through the heat exchanger, and then return back into the box through this line here. You see it's attached over there on the right hand side up here in the back. Okay. When you go to replace your carbon media here, what you would do is go ahead and isolate it first, and then you can remove the carbon down to the bottom here and then reload it here. Once that is done, you'll have to go ahead and evacuate it and refill it. It's recommended that you do that 3 purges, 3 evacuation refills on the carbon media, and you would use this valve here. In the back here are all your connections. You got your cooling line in and out. This is a vacuum line that leads up into the vacuum manifold here. You can see it, that this manifold leads up to the engine chamber, and then this line gets connected here. This black line is brought in down here, and that's used for gets attached to the manifold and is used for various parts of the process here. It's used to reduce the pressure in the box. It's also used during a regeneration cycle. So as you can see, this is your vacuum line leading from the manifold, and then from the manifold it's just a line leading to the pump. There's a dedicated line down here for the vacuum pump. You can plug it in here. It's 110 volts. And down here too, you also have your regen gas connection and your inert gas kit working gas. So what I did is I adapted all these lines to say, for instance, for the cooling, I put a swage lock 3/8 inch fitting on there. When I send it to you, you'll have to go ahead. I'll remove the lines here, and you'll just have a female 3/8 inch fitting in and out. For the working gas, I do have a 3/8 inch swage lock fitting here. And for the regen gas, I have a 1/4 inch swage lock fitting. And then finally, there's an exhaust line here for when you do a regen. And there's also, this will be connected in the back. This is your, when you do a box purge, you'll want to go ahead and exhaust that to the, attach that to an exhaust line. And that would be on this port here. And then also you'll probably want to go ahead and exhaust your vacuum. So as you can see, I have a, here's our regeneration tank. You'll have to supply your own regulator and tanks, and your line leading up to your 1/4 inch fitting. I'm using a house chiller here. If you want to use, go ahead and use the heat exchanger. You'll have to go ahead and run your own cooling water into it. Again, that's through your 3/8 inch lines here. And then I have our inert gas tank here and regulator. You'll have to supply your own. Again, this is our house regulator. And we're using nitrogen in this case here. The system runs off of 110. This was modified, and it did have like a spin coater and a, I believe, some kind of a HEPA filter in there. It's attached to, the power for that is on Q2 main switch. Since it's no longer in there, the switch can be off, and the 110 line does not need to be connected. That's this line here. Also, there's a line here that interfaces to the other box. This is not used. I labeled it. So the only line you do need to connect is your 110 volts, which is labeled. I have it attached to the box right now, but as you can see, this one's labeled Power 2. The one that you will be using is labeled Power 1, and you'll want to go ahead and turn this on. This will turn on your entire system. We do have a key here, but I just want to show you quickly inside the control box here. So here's where Q2 gets attached, and as you can see, it's not powered up. I have it off and not plugged in. This is your Siemens PLC. You have a few circuit breakers and contacts and relays and your wiring down here. This is set to 50 Hertz. That's your for your circulator. Just want to point out too, the gloves are new. And then here's our, down here, we do have our foot switch. Press on the right, we'll go ahead and increase the pressure in the box, and on the left will decrease it. And what happens there is the valve opens to the vacuum pump to lower the pressure inside the box. Just one other thing I want to point out is there was a universal gas probe connected. We are not qualifying it, but we will send it along. And then here's your operator panel, your Symantec HMI. It's timed at, I think about 20-30 minutes, it'll go ahead and darken out as a screensaver, so we'll just go ahead and hit that. So you can see the pressure set right now at minus 1.1 millibar. And as you can see, the H2O inside the box is 0.3 parts per million, and the oxygen is less than 1 parts per million. And I'll go ahead and hit the foot switch here on the right, and as you can see, the pressure is increasing and the gloves are coming out. And then I'll go ahead and hit the left side. And we can reduce the pressure inside the box. I'd like to point out a few of the operations that you can do from the panel. First of all, you'll have functions. Here you can turn on your circulator. As you can hear, it just shut off. We'll go ahead and turn it back on. You can turn your box light on and off. These two are not used anymore, the spin coater and the FFU. You can turn your vacuum pump on and off. When you want to go ahead and do a regeneration, you have to shut your circulator off first and then go ahead through the regen process by hitting that. I'm not going to do that right now. The other thing you can do too is, you can also do is to go ahead and hit the quick purge. And what that does is open up this valve here, and it purges through this line here. So the purge will go through the circulator, goes in the opposite direction. It'll go out through this line here, and then return on the bottom line here across the across the moisture sensor through the solvent trap, and back. And that's to remove any excess oxygen or water vapor that may have occurred at any certain time. You can also use this to go ahead and do your initial purge of the box. Okay. And then finally, you do have the analyzer you can turn on and off. You can see it says switched off. We'll turn that back on. We'll turn our circulator back on. We'll look at some additional functions. You can go ahead and run your antechamber from here. That's in auto mode. Evacuate refill. I'll talk about that later. And you can also do a refill, which I'll go ahead and do now. And like I told you before, it's refilling from the box. And as you can see, the gauge is going down. And we're going to wait for atmosphere, and we're going to go ahead and open the outer door here. One thing I'd like to point out is you want to, once you hit atmosphere, you want to go ahead and close the refill, and then go ahead and open it. As you can see, there's a shelf in here, so you can load your work inside. I'll go ahead and put the key in there and close it up. Now you can do evacuate auto, or you can go ahead and by hitting this screen here, I don't know if you've seen that, let me go back, hit N. That's your antechamber here. You can select between manual and automatic. Automatic, you'll go ahead and set your parameters. For instance, here's our defaulted parameters. So this will run the process automatically for you. Or you can go ahead and do a manual control. And at this point, we'll go ahead and evacuate. And you can see that the gauge is reading, the digital gauge. So while that's pumping out, we'll go ahead and just show you a few other things here. There's your trend curve. If there's any alarms, it'll come up here. That'll show you a history of the alarms. And here. Parameters we went through, that's for your auto pump out and refill. Okay, there's a few other things you can do from the screen. You can go ahead and hit the box here. You can set your upper and lower working limits, as well as your hysteresis and your upper and lower limit of the box. You can set your alarm limits for your H2O alarm, O2 alarms. You can also hit this box here. This will show you a little diagram of the drivetrain and what valves are open currently. Status. Okay, we're going to look at functions here. Well, we went through that already. Additional functions, we looked at that. Let's look at menu. From here, you can go ahead and set your box parameters. Your box trend curves. It's not functional, no freezer attached. Service here. When you go ahead and clean your O2 sensor, you can go ahead and hit the reset on that. I'll just leave that as is. I cleaned it 5 hours ago. Here's where you can turn on your solvent analyzer. Well, again, we don't qualify that here. It's but we will send it along. And then finally, you can set up your parameters for your box version. Okay, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to switch from the manual mode. I'll shut the evacuate off, and I'll go ahead and turn it to auto. And we'll go ahead and run that by pressing the antechamber cycle button. And as you can see, it's in step 3. Again, the parameters are set here. So what we'll do is we're going to let this run 3 times. It looks like he's going to do a pump refill of 3 cycles. We'll come back and we'll go ahead and open the inner antechamber door and show you how to transfer the work into the glove box. Okay, so what I did here is I vented the antechamber to atmosphere in manual mode, and what I want to do is demonstrate the automatic mode, and we'll go ahead and hit the automatic mode button and then the antechamber cycle. So what this is going to do is going to do the run the program that is set in parameters, which it'll evacuate to 5 times 10 to the minus 1 millibar, and then do an intermediate refill to 400 millibar. And it'll do that 3 times and then bring it back to atmosphere, so that you can go ahead and open the inner door and bring your work in. And what you can do at this point too is we'll go ahead and look at the trend curve, and as you can see, it's pumping down. So we'll let this run and we'll come back, look at the trend curve. We'll see that it has actually done the 3 cycles, pump outs and refills, and then we'll go ahead and open the inner door. Okay, here's our trend curve for the automatic evacuation refill of our antechamber. You can see it started at atmosphere up here, came down to 5 times 10 to the minus 1, refilled back up to 400. And that occurred 3 times. And then once it hits 5 times 10 to the minus 1, it'll refill back atmosphere. So we'll end this, go back to the antechamber, and what we're waiting for here now is the atmosphere to indicate on the top. Okay, as you can see, the refill valve has closed, which is important because that does lead back to the box. Okay. So at this point we can, as you can see, the red lights have gone off on the antechamber, which means you can go ahead in there and open it up. And what we'll do is we'll go in using this, using the glove. Unlock the inner door. Then we can go ahead and slide the shelf in. At this point, you can go ahead and take your work out, place it inside the glove box, slide the shelf back in, and then go ahead and bring the door down, and then you can close it. Okay. Let's go back to the main screen, and as you can see, the water vapor and the oxygen is stayed down below 1 parts per million. So one thing I want to point out, one final thing, is the regulator here is set at 90 psi for your inert gas in. And what I wanted to point out is that your valves here, your evacuation valve for your antechamber, as well as your 2 valves on your circulator, as well as the box purge valve, are all electro-pneumatic valves that are using this line coming in here. As you can see, they're attached to each one of the valves, and there's a line coming out in the back here, which runs up here, and that needs to be attached to this valve. So the 90 psi of the inert gas is being used to operate these valves, and it's important to be high in pressure like that for these valves to open. And finally, there is a throttle valve, so when you're doing your box purge, you can adjust your flow for the box purge by using this ball valve. Where I have it set now is a good position, but if you need to throttle it down, you'll want to go ahead and close the ball valve completely. That's off. We'll open it slightly, as it is here. Okay, that's our demonstration of the MBraun MB200 glove box.